Guys, today we are going to be working on what we call simplifying or reducing fractions. So what we're going to do, we built up to this, and I've kind of sidestepped it until we got to this point. But I think today is going to be a great time to work on this. And what we're talking about doing is if we get answers with big numerators and big denominators, we're going to learn how to simplify those down into what we call simplest terms. Simplest terms means it cannot be reduced anymore. It's the simplest that it can be. And that's going to be our ultimate goal leading into sixth grade. But for right now, we're in fifth grade, just something that we're going to begin working on. So let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. And what I mean by this is if I do 2/4, I'm going to say that is equal to 1/2. Now, most of us know that, right? That's not a novel concept to us, but what we don't know is the process to get there. And how do we do that once we get to bigger numbers? So let's go ahead and I'm going to erase this and let's take this back a little bit and let's do it again. So I'm going to write 2/4 here. Now, our goal is to divide this down. Now, when we multiplied, let me erase this. If you remember earlier in the year, we did what we called equivalent fractions, which means they're the same. So I would say we're going to multiply the top or numerator by 2, and 1 times 2 equals 2. Well, if you remember our rule of fractions, whatever I do to the top, I also have to do to the bottom. So I'm going to multiply that by 2, and I got 2/4. And we said that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Right? Those are equivalent fractions because they take up the same area as long as the whole is the same size. So we do know that those are the same. They're just different ways to say it. This is not simplest form. That is not our goal today. Our goal is to get here. There's no lower that fraction can go. All right. So how do we do that? I'm going to use a different fraction now. So I'm going to use, let's say let's do 4/10. So the first thing I'm going to ask you guys anytime we do this is what is the biggest number that goes into both of them? Or what is the biggest number that both of these numbers can be divided by? Easy way to find that if you're not good at that with your head, some of you guys are good at it right now and you already know the number. If you're not good at that, you're going to find the factors of both 4 and 10. Now remember, factors are numbers that multiply together to give us that. So for 4, we are going to have 1, 2, and 4 because we have 1 times 4 and then 2 times 2 all equal 4. For 10, we are going to have 1 and 10, and we are going to have 2 and 5. So 1 times 10 equals 10, and 2 times 5 equals 10. Now, another thing you're going to hear me say today is what is the biggest number that goes into both other than 1? Because we should know any whole number, 1 is going to be a factor of that. So here I have my factors of 4, I have my factors of 10, and I have one number here that's common, and that is going to be 2. Okay, so I have 2 in both of them, which means both of these numbers can be divided by 2. None of my other numbers match, okay? So I do have ones that match, but those don't count here. I don't have another 5, I don't have another 10, and I do not have another 4. So I am going to use these 2's to make my fraction smaller. Now, how do we do that? Well, I am going to divide my numerator by 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. And our rule of fractions tells us whatever we do to the top or the numerator, we have to do to the bottom or the denominator. So I'm going to divide 10 divided by 2, and that is going to give me 5. Now, 2/5, I believe right now is going to be my simplest form, but how do I know that? Well, we're going to check here and see. I'm going to look at 2/5, and I'm going to see what are my factors of 2. Well, I have 1 and 2 because 1 times 2 is the only way that I can get 2 by multiplying. Now I'm going to check 5. I have 1 and 5. Those are the only two numbers that multiply to give me 5. So looking at this, the only number I have in common is 1, and we know that 1 does not count when we're trying to do this. All right, so let me erase and simplify my screen a little bit. I want to continue talking about this for about 1 more minute. Now, how do we know that these two fractions are the same? I am going to break this down for you. Here, I have 10 here, I have 5. So I'm going to go ahead and take this fraction, and I'm going to draw out 4/10. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to do 2/5. 1, 2. Now, if I look at these two fractions, they take up the same amount of area, which means these two numbers are equivalent. Now, what does that mean? How in the world did I just make a fraction smaller and make it equivalent? Now, we already know those two are equivalent, but how does that work? How do numbers work? Because sometimes numbers are really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take this right here. We have 2/2 right here. Now, we all know that all fractions are division problems. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So what we're really doing is taking 4/10, dividing it by 1, and we're getting an equivalent fraction. Right? So let's do some practice. I'm going to do one more example for you with less explaining, and I'm going to have you guys practice on your whiteboard. So if you don't have your whiteboard out, go ahead and get that out, or a scrap piece of paper if you don't have all your whiteboard supplies. I am going to take the fraction 4/12, and I'm going to simplify it. So let's say that I know that both of these numbers are even. Yeah, I know. Well, let's go ahead and list out our factors. And again, if you are good enough to do this without listing out your factors, you don't have to. But if you're not, take your time, list out your factors. I'm going to have 1 and 4. And I'm also going to have 2 times 2 for my factors of 4. And then for 12, I'm going to have 1 and 12. I'm going to have 2 and 6. And I'm going to have 3 and 4. So again, this process can take a while, but once you know your numbers, we are good. So I have 1, 2, and 4 here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 here. I'm looking for the biggest number. I can see now my biggest number is going to be 4. So my biggest number other than 1, okay, well, I'm going to delete those. We don't need them. So I'm going to take both of my numbers and I'm going to divide them by 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 equals 1. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So 1/3 is going to be my simplest form. So 4/12 and 1/3 are equivalent, but 1/3 is my simplest form. Let's go back here to the beginning, and let's say that I, for somehow, skipped my 4s. Okay, I didn't see the 4s. They disappeared on me. I can make those disappear real quick. They disappeared. I didn't see them. All I saw was the number 1 and 2 that matched. And let's say I did 2. Well, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So 2, 6. Now, if I checked my n number like I'm supposed to, I would see that these two are even numbers. And any even number can be divided by 2. Well, I'm going to divide by 2 again. And I'm going to get 1/3. So the exact same answer that I got earlier, I am getting now. So either way you go about it, one was just longer than the other. That's why I always say find the greatest factor. That way we can only do one step and be done. Now, I'm going to let you guys to try, and the way this is going to work is I'm going to put a couple problems on here. After I put the 2 problems on here, I want you to practice them on your whiteboard. Once you're done on your whiteboard, circle your answers, watch me do them. Hopefully you're correct. If not, go back and try them again and watch again. And then we will move on from there. So the first one I'm going to give you is, let's do 5/20. I want you to find me an equivalent fraction of 5/20 in simplest terms, or simplifying all the way. And then I also want you to do 6/18. So again, go ahead and pause this video. Once you're done working these problems out on your whiteboard or scrap piece of paper, resume it to see if you're correct, and then we can move on. All right, so let's see how you guys did. So again, I'm going to take 5/20. I'm going to make it smaller. So I've got to find all of my factors of 5. I know that 1 and 5 are both factors. So 1 times 5, I believe that's it. So let's do 20. I have 1 and 20. I have 2 and 10. And I have 4 and 5. Now, I have 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20 for 20. I have 1 and 5. I am looking for the biggest number that is not 1 for both of these. Looks like I have 5 and 5. So I should be able to divide both of these, both the numerator and the denominator, by 5. And once I do that, I should be in simplest terms. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. 1/4 is going to be my simplest terms, and I know that because if I listed out my factors of 1, I have 1. If I list out my factors of 1/4, or sorry, 4, I have 1 and 4. Well, I'll go ahead and delete 1 because we don't need it. My only factor is 4, so my simplest term has to be 1/4. So let's go over to 6/18 and let's check our numbers there. My factors of 6 are going to be 1 and 6, 2 and 3. My factors of 18 are going to be 1, 18, 2, 9, 3, and 6. And that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete 1 out of there because it's not going to count. Now here, I have 3 separate numbers that are all going to be the same. I have 2, 3, and 6. I have 2, 3, and 6. Now again, even though I have 3, I want to pick the greatest one. So my greatest one is going to be 6. And 6, I'm going to divide both by 6. And I will get 1/3 is my equivalent fraction. Now, just to clear up some confusion, if for some reason you did not see the 6 or you didn't pick the 6, let's see if we can get the same answer. Remember, my answer was 1/3. Let's see if we can get the same answer by doing different numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and take out that 6. Let's say we wanted to start with 2. Well, let's see. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 18 divided by 2 equals 9. All right, so 3/9. So I'm going to go ahead and check here. 3/9. Now, I do know that 1 goes into both of them. Can't use it. They're not even, so 2 is not going to go into them. Well, I know that 3 goes into 9 and 3 goes into 3, so let me try that one. So 3 divided by 3 and 9 divided by 3 is going to give me 1/3. Now, 1/3 is going to be equal to 1/3. So again, even if you mess up in the beginning, you can still end up with the right answer in simplest form. It just may take you a little bit longer. So my suggestion is if you are uncomfortable with your factors and your number trees and all those good things, I would list out those factors first. Make sure that you do that. So one more example here. I'm going to give you guys a little bit longer one. It may take me a minute or two to erase all of this. Let's do one more or 2 more. I'm going to go a little bit slower or a little bit faster here. I'm not necessarily going to list out my multiples or my factors, excuse me. Let's see what we do here. I want you guys to do, let's do 6/36. And I also want you to do, let's do 9/18. Go ahead and pause the video, work those out on your whiteboard. Resume it when you're done, check your answers, and then we will move on. All right, so let's see how you guys did. So if you listed out your factors, you're going to find that for 6 and for 36 are both going to have the greatest factor that we're going to have between them is going to be 6. So I'm going to divide them both by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 36 divided by 6 is 6. 1/6 is going to be my smallest or my simplest form that we can find. For 9 and 18, we're going to have a couple of factors that are all going to be the same. We're going to have 1. We are going to have 3. And we are going to have 9. So both of them are going to have 1, 3, and 9. Those are not the only factors, but those are the factors that are going to be the same. So we're going to automatically delete 1 because we don't need it. 3 is not the greatest, so I'm going to divide both by 9. Divided by 9, divided by 9, and I get 1/2. So 1/2 is equal to 9/18, and 1/6 is equal to 6/36. Hopefully this makes sense. You guys are going to get plenty of practice here in a second. So let's go ahead and look at what you're going to be doing today for me. I'm going to advance to the next screen. So first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to go to your Canvas page. and kind of talk about, we're going to skip this. We're going to kind of talk about what this looks like for you today. Now, I'm going to put this video, which is what you're watching, is going to be right here. Next thing you have is what we call a simplifying fractions practice puzzle. This is something new. For me, I'm just going to have you guys click on the link, and I'll give you some directions down here. I'm getting ready to go over that with you. We're going to type in your name. For fraction type, you're going to click proper fractions. For us, that is a fraction less than 1. You're going to do jigsaw mode for timer, and then you're going to do individual for mode, because we're not doing classes or teams here. So what that's going to look like for you guys is you're going to click on the link. I've already typed in my name. I'm going to click on proper fractions, jigsaw mode, individual, and it's going to start. Now, what they do here is they give me these fractions, and my job is to simplify them. So I'm going to simplify them. I know here the greatest that goes into both 24 and 30 is 6. So 24 divided by 6 is going to be 4, and 30 divided by 6 is going to be 5. So I'm going to enter that, and once I get it correct, it gives me a piece of a puzzle. Now, 6/15, and I don't know if I can draw on here. Can I draw on here? I cannot. So 6/15, thinking about the greatest number that would go into both, I think it's 3. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. 15 divided by 3 is going to be 5. So 2/5 will be my greatest. Now, let's see what happens if I get this one wrong. I'm going to just type in 6/18. If I get it wrong, it tells me I got it wrong, and then it gives me a different one. So I want you guys to complete this until you feel the puzzle. Once you do, you only have to do this once. Anytime you need, if you want to reset it, start again, you can click the restart button over here. But please make sure that you are doing this entire puzzle to work on it. Use your whiteboards to help you. Once you are done with that, you're going to complete the simplifying worksheet. This is on Kami, so you're actually going to take this and you are going to submit it to me once you're done. If you don't finish this, it is homework tonight. So notice here, I do have click on the correct link below. There is a simplifying worksheet, and then there is a group 2 simplifying worksheet. So if you are group 2, you don't do the first one, you only do the second one. If you're not group 2, you only click on this simplifying worksheet right here. Right, so you guys will do that. I also have an iReady teacher assigned lesson for you. Practice adding and subtracting fractions. That is due tomorrow. You have your daily math, your 10 minutes, and your 45 minutes of iReady My Path, or 2 lessons passed this week. This iReady lesson does not, actually it does count as lesson passed and minutes. So please make sure you are doing that. All right, heading on back. The worksheet that you guys are going to see looks like this. So here's how I want you guys to kind of go about it. Between 14 and 20, my greatest factor is going to be 2. So I'm going to divide both by 2, and you guys are going to work this out on your whiteboards or scrap paper. My final answer is going to be 7/10. Now, if you cannot figure out how to do this, line your fractions up on Kami. It is acceptable to type it like this and leave it. Okay, I will accept either way when looking at fractions. So for 4/8, I'm going to go and simplify. It's going to be 1/2. So I can write it like that, or I can write it like that. Either way will be acceptable. Hopefully this video helps you guys. If not, there's a substitute there to help you. So please go back and watch anything you need to go back and watch. And that is it. You guys have a good day, and I will see you soon.